जी मित्रों, नमस्कार, अभिवादन। और हमारे पास पिछली बार की तरह से नॉर्थ ईस्ट पर हमने वादा किया था आपसे बात करने के लिए, और कल भी आपने रिक्वेस्ट की थी कि हमको नॉर्थ ईस्ट पर बात करनी चाहिए, जो तमाम वहाँ पर एक्टिविटी समय चल रही है एक लंबे समय से। तो उस मुद्दे पर बात करने के लिए हमारे पास उस एरिया पर जमीन पर काम करने वाले व्लादिमीर आदित्यनाथ हमारे साथ हैं, जो इस बारे में आपको ग्राउंड डिटेल्स देंगे, हिस्ट्री देते हुए एक ब्रीफ हिस्ट्री देकर इस सारे क्राइसिस की जो मणिपुर में है, और फिर हम अपनी बात को आगे बढ़ाएंगे। तो मित्रों, चलते हैं हम व्लादिमीर आदित्यनाथ के पास। व्लादिमीर भाई, वेरी गुड इवनिंग टू यू एंड वेलकम टू द चैनल वंस अगेन। It's all yours. It's all about Manipur today, and we're going to have a lot of details from him. So kindly stay on with me, Om bhai. Good evening. And we will take the questions. Please don't expect, we may not take a lot of questions because we have to finish the show by 9:45, because there is another show coming up at 10 o'clock. So I need 10 minutes to prepare for that. So आपको थोड़ा सा ध्यान रखना होगा कि 9:45 के आसपास अगर शो जाता है तो we might not be taking a lot of questions. अगर उससे पहले खत्म हो जाता है तो हम ले लेंगे। सस्ता जर्नलिस्ट जी, नमस्ते। एंड सो व्लादिमीर भाई, ओवर टू यू।
नमस्ते। सबसे पहले आप सभी को प्रणाम, और महेश जी आपको अनेक धन्यवाद। आपने फिर से मुझे इस काबिल समझा कि मैं आपके प्लेटफॉर्म में बात कर पाऊं। और पहला बात है, मणिपुर का आज अगर बात किया जाए तो मणिपुर में ये जो समस्या है इसकी जड़ों में जाना जरूरी है। इसके जड़ों का समस्या अगर आपको देखा जाए, इसका जड़े आता है हमारे औपनिवेशिक तत्व से, कॉलोनियल रूट्स। मतलब क्या है, ये जो आर्टिफिशियली मणिपुर में आप लोग सभी देखे होंगे, मीडिया रिप्रेजेंट करता है हिल एरिया, वैली एरिया ऑफ मणिपुर। ऐसा हिल वैली डिवाइड, देयर इज नो एक्चुअल थिंग लाइक दैट। इम्फाल वैली इज नॉट द ओनली वैली इन मणिपुर. Even the hill areas are full of other valleys. There are several huge valleys. And the altitude difference between Imphal Valley and many of these places, so-called hill districts, is negligible. It's like calling the top floor of a building a separate entity and the bottom floor of a building in a separate entity. It does not make any sense. और उसके बाद अगर हम लोग थोड़ा और भी देखें, ये जो कांगपोकपी और चुराचांदपुर, the two epicenters of the conflict, ironically their district headquarters are located at the tips of Imphal Valley. तो जहां से वायलेंस चालू हो गया है, तो फ्रॉम द फर्स्ट डे इटसेल्फ द वायलेंस वाज सेंटर्ड इन इम्फाल वैली एंड कंटिन्यूड अराउंड इम्फाल वैली. दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच पीपल हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि ये जो हिंसा और ये जो लड़ाई है वो इम्फाल वैली के आसपास ही केंद्रित थे, और इम्फाल वैली के आसपास ही भटक रहे पहले दिन से। बहुत कम वायलेंस हुआ है जो तथाकथित हिल एरिया में हुआ। और ये जो हिल डिवाइड, ये अंग्रेजों ने बनाया था अपना शासन तंत्र, और ये अंग्रेजों का तंत्र था जो एक आईसीएस ऑफिसर हिल एरिया तथाकथित लोगों को अलग करके डिवाइड एंड रूल पॉलिसी के तहत, और वो आईसीएस ऑफिसर भी राज दरबार में ही बैठता था। और अंग्रेजों के मिसमैनेजमेंट के कारण यहाँ पे विद्रोह भी हुआ काफी सारे हिल एरिया में। और ये अंग्रेजों का विद्रोह या ये भेदभाव तैयार करना या राष्ट्रवादी चिंता को हटाना, इसके लिए एक बहुत बड़ा टूल इस्तेमाल किया गया, वो है ईसाईयत या क्रिश्चियनिटी। पहला बात है, मैं आपको थोड़ा कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन देना चाहूंगा। ये जो क्रिश्चियनिटी फैला, वेस्टर्न एजुकेशन, इसका कुछ पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट्स भी है, कुछ नेगेटिव इफेक्ट्स भी है। पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट्स है, इनके बहुत सारे वर्ल्ड व्यू बढ़े, इनको आइडियाज आए, नेशनलिज्म ये सब आए। लेकिन नेगेटिव इफेक्ट ये था कि जो इनको पढ़ा रहे थे उनका नियत अच्छा नहीं था। उनको सब नेशनलिज्म, उनको एथनिक वायलेंस, ये सब कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स, दे वांटेड टू क्रिएट अम्ब्रेला। उन्होंने नॉर्थ ईस्ट में एक यूनिक चीज देखे कि कहीं सारे जनजातीय हर 10 किलोमीटर में भाषा बदल जाता है, लेकिन भाषा का जो हिस्सा है उसको आप तोड़ मरोड़ के एक्सप्लेन करके डिफरेंट आइडेंटिटीज बना सकते हो। तो उसके तहत ये लोग एग्जिस्टिंग जो साउथ सेंट्रल टिबेटो बर्मन लैंग्वेज ग्रुप है 50 लैंग्वेजेस का, वो 50 लैंग्वेज में से मिजोरम के कहीं जनजाति बोलने वाले हैं, मणिपुर के कहीं बोलने वाले हैं, असम के पार्ट्स के बोलने वाले, त्रिपुरा के बोलने वाले, बर्मा के चीन सराइंग रीजन के बोलने वाले, ये सबको एक कॉमन आइडेंटिटी जो बोले लैंग्वेज के हिसाब से, विच इज नॉनसेंस। लैंग्वेज कैन नेवर बी द बेसिस ऑफ एन आइडेंटिटी ऑफ अ स्टेट और अ पीपल। तो ये पहला फंडामेंटल चीज है जो हमारा ट्रैप में लोग पड़े, और हमारे सरकार भी बाद में पड़े। दूसरा क्या हुआ, दूसरा ये लोग देखे कि इसके अंदर भी बहुत पॉसिबल है कि आप 20 लैंग्वेजेस को एक ग्रुप बना के एक आइडेंटिटी बनाओ, 30 लैंग्वेजेस को ग्रुप बना के दूसरा आइडेंटिटी बनाओ, 50 को ग्रुप बना के तीसरा आइडेंटिटी बनाओ। अब यही 50 साउथ सेंट्रल टिबेटो बर्मन लैंग्वेज में से अगर आप 30 को ग्रुप करोगे, then they claim to be cookie. तो the very identity cookie itself is a colonial construct. और आप अगर कल्चरल या सिविलाइजेशनल जगह में जाओ, it has very little basis of it. इसलिए ये कुकी लोग अकेला कुकी नहीं यूज करते, कुकी जो बोल के ये जो मीन्स हाईलैंडर, ये टर्म्स यूज करके दे ट्राई टू गिव सम आर्टिफिशियल लेजिटिमेसी। तो वन ऑफ द अब इसके बाद ये जड़े है, इसके बाद समस्या कहां से शुरू हुआ? इसके बाद देखिए, मणिपुर का सबसे पहले 1949 में जब मर्जर एग्रीमेंट हुआ, वो उतना भारी हाथ में ना हो के अगर कुछ और तरीके से होता तो अच्छा होता। उस समय कुछ गलतियां हुए और वो सुधारने का भारत सरकार के पास 30 साल था, लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली उस समय जो फेबियन सोशलिज्म और जियोग्राफिकल आइसोलेशन, विशेष करके चिकन नेक का एक्सेप्टेंस, ये पूरा नॉर्थ ईस्ट की इकोनॉमी को बर्बाद कर दिया। और वेरियर एल्विन बोल के एक मिशनरी था, he was one of the very prominent advisors to Nehru. Nehru ignored experts like Govind Sadashiv Ghuriye and other people. Sadashiv Ghuriye and maybe now noted anthropologists like Rami Desai, Dr. Ankita Dotto. I would highly recommend reading a series of Dr. Ankita Dotto's articles on Mind Makers on this Manipur crisis, the Tamils and other communities who got wiped out. She wrote excellent work on this, and I would highly recommend anyone who wants to know. The Manipur violence involves the massacre and cleaning of at least 9 communities by these cookies alone. And not just that is in Manipur. वो जो वायलेंस, ये जो कुकीज है, दे हैव अ वेरी ब्लडी हिस्ट्री। 1990 से इनके ये 10वां मतलब बड़ा आक्रमण है नॉन क्रिश्चियन जनजातियों के ऊपर। असम में इनके झमेला हुआ, मणिपुर में झमेला हुआ, मिजोरम में झमेला हुआ, फिर आपके त्रिपुरा में झमेला हुआ। सारी जगह कॉमन थीम है, मंदिर तोड़ना, लोगों को मारना, हत्या करना, जबरदस्ती धर्मांतरित करना, बर्बरता का पराकाष्ठा है सभी जगह। और इनके एस्टिमेटेड विक्टिम्स अगर इसका हम लोग हिसाब करें, बाय कंजर्वेटिव एस्टिमेट्स भी ये 1.5 लाख पार हो जाता है। तो जब लोग बोलते हैं मैतेई भी भाई है, कुकी भी भाई है, तो ये भाई का मतलब इसको मैं क्या बोलूं, बर्बरता का भी हमें हिसाब रखना चाहिए कि कैसे भाई ने हमसे एसटी राइट्स लेके या ये लेके भाई ने हमें दिया क्या है, ये भी थोड़ा देखना पड़ेगा ना। तो ये बात है। अब देखिए, ये आइसोलेशनिस्ट पॉलिसी के तहत मणिपुरी समाज में बहुत गरीबी छाए, उनके इकोनॉमी जो एग्जिस्टिंग था वो ग्रोथ नहीं हुआ, उनके मतलब कनेक्टिविटी ठीक ठाक नहीं था, प्रायोरिटी सही नहीं था, उनके प्राइमरी सेक्टर या मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर पूरा धस गया 1970 तक। 1965 में एक हादसा हुआ जहां पे बच्चे जब खाने लाने गए उन पे सरकार गोलियां चलवाए और काफी सारे बच्चों को मार डाले शास्त्री जी के समय। वो भी दैट क्रिएटेड अ लॉट ऑफ स्कार। आज भी अगस्त में ही हुआ था, तो आज भी 29 अगस्त को लोग वहां पे जाते। तो ऐसे टाइप की चीजें, और 1963 में नागालैंड को देना, दैट क्रिएटेड अ ह्यूज आइडिया कि देखिए मणिपुर हैज अ वेरी वेल डॉक्यूमेंटेड हिस्ट्री डेटिंग बैक टू ओवर 3000 ईयर्स। और इनके जो निंगथौजा राजा थे, दे रूल्ड अनइंटरप्टेड फ्रॉम 33 AD टू 1949। मतलब जो रॉयल डायनेस्टी है वो लगभग 1900 वर्ष से भी ज्यादा शासन किए। अब इनको आप समझाने जा रहे हो कि आपको शासन करना नहीं आता है, आपको हम लोग सिखाएंगे सब कुछ, आपको हम रिमोट कंट्रोल बनाएंगे, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट आपको स्टेटहुड नहीं देंगे, तो वो प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट होगा। इससे क्या हुआ, पूरा सोसाइटी डिरेल्ड हो गया। जब सोसाइटी डिरेल हुआ, उसका पहला फायदा उठाया चर्च, पूरा इकोनॉमी और सब कुछ पे एक तरफा कब्जा कर लिया। और दूसरा फायदा कौन उठाए, कम्युनिस्ट। कम्युनिस्ट ने क्या किया, चर्च ने प्राइमरी एजुकेशन और सेकेंडरी एजुकेशन के लार्ज सेक्टर ले लिए और कम्युनिस्ट टुक द हायर एजुकेशन मोस्टली। जेएनयू के ब्रांच मणिपुर यूनिवर्सिटी, आप लोगों को तो पता है 1971 में जो बना था। तो ये लेट 70s 80s में ऐसा सिचुएशन पहुंचा कि नेग्लेक्ट या ये वजह से, और इंदिरा गांधी का भी तो बहुत सारे लेफ्टिस्ट कम्युनिस्ट सपोर्ट था, तो उन्होंने भी ज्यादा कुछ नहीं किया इस मैटर में, जितना स्ट्रिक्ट लेना चाहिए था। तो इसकी वजह से लेट 70s अर्ली 80s में मणिपुर में चाइनीज करेंसी तक चलने लगा लार्ज हद तक। चाइनीज गुड्स स्टार्टेड फ्लडिंग इनटू इट, क्योंकि इंडियन गुड्स लाना बहुत मुश्किल था, कनेक्टिविटी रोड्स का प्रॉब्लम था, एक ही रास्ता था दीमापुर में, अभी भी दूसरा रास्ता जो NH-37 से है वो भी बहुत बुरा। हाँ, प्रोजेक्ट के आई विल कम लेटर इंद्रजीत जी। Actually, let us understand the context. Why the society was appeared to be sleeping for 70 years? This is a question which nobody is answering. Let us answer the uncommon questions first, unique things. So, I'll come to your question. तो दूसरा मैटर ये है, देखिए, ये जो ऐसे हम लोग अगर देखें इस टाइप के सिचुएशन में, तो मणिपुर में हम लोग को पता चल जाता है कि ये सोसाइटी का डिरेलमेंट चालू हुआ। फिर चालू हुआ एक भयंकर पीरियड ऑफ इंसर्जेंसी, जहां पे वेस्टेड इंटरेस्ट वाले एक तरफ से सिखाने लगे कि तुम्हारे हिंदू इंडिया तुम्हारे एक तरफ कोई ध्यान नहीं दिया, जबकि सरकार सेक्युलर ना होना ही बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है। एक्चुअली नॉट हैविंग द हिंदूनेस वाज द इशू, लेकिन सेक्युलर भारत के सेक्युलर सरकार को दिखाया गया कि हिंदू सरकार तुमको ध्यान नहीं दे रहा है, उनको उनके रूट से काटने का भरपूर इच्छा हुआ। सारे कम्युनिस्ट टेररिस्ट ग्रुप्स भगवत गीता जलाने से शुरू करके आतंकवादियों पे आक्रमण, मतलब मंदिरों पे आक्रमण करना, ब्लास्ट करवाना से शुरू करके बॉलीवुड बैन वैसे अभी के हिसाब से देखे तो एक तौर से अच्छा ही किया, लेकिन फिर भी इंटेंशन उस समय अच्छा नहीं था। पर ये टाइप के चीजें किए और सोसाइटी को एक अजीब सा जगह में ला दिए, जहां पे इनका बहुत हद तक क्रिश्चियनाइजेशन और कन्वर्शन हुआ, और ज्यादातर सोसाइटी सोते रहा, उनके अटेंशन कुछ और ही जगह में था। तो ये जो प्रॉब्लम है मणिपुर का प्रॉब्लम आपका 1970 से ही इसका गड़बड़ देखना चालू हो गया। सबसे पहला प्रॉब्लम क्या था? आप अगर देखोगे मणिपुर के प्रॉब्लम के हिसाब से, सबसे पहले आपका डेमोग्राफी देखिए। 1971 में मणिपुर पॉपुलेशन वाज अराउंड 57% आपके सेंसस के हिसाब से। दैट आल्सो रिमेन्ड अराउंड 60 to 57% ओनली इन अराउंड हिंदू पॉपुलेशन इन अराउंड क्या बोलते हैं 1991। लेकिन बाय 2011 दैट पॉपुलेशन हैड फॉलन टू 41%, और अभी के जो डिफरेंट एस्टिमेट्स आ रहे हैं, इट इज गॉन टू 35%। तो दिस रेट ऑफ डिक्लाइन इज अ मच शार्पर डिक्लाइन देन दोज एट द पीक ऑफ बांग्लादेश वायलेंस और पाकिस्तान। So this rate of conversion has happened in Manipur. और ये कन्वर्शन हुआ कैसे, इसके बारे में सबसे पहले आप अगर देखोगे, जब ये सिचुएशन चल रहा था 1970s में, जो तथाकथित सबसे बड़ा पहला ब्लंडर हुआ 1960 में, मणिपुर लैंड रेवेन्यू एंड लैंड रिफॉर्म एक्ट, वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का तब का किया हुआ था। और अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये जो रिमोट कंट्रोल गवर्नेंस, इनके वजह से मणिपुर में एक ऐसा क्लास ऑफ पॉलिटिशियंस आया है who have been least bothered about the welfare of their people आज भी। That is the reason ये जो paralysis आप देख रहे हो, it is very fashionable to blame the central government for this paralysis and ignore the role of the state government and other things। लेकिन मणिपुर में स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के सिचुएशन पे भी यहाँ पे बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम्स है, और ये स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के रोल भी इस पे हम लोग क्लीन चिट किसी हालत पे नहीं दे सकते। People, most of the politicians understood that they can incur favor, ये चाटुकारिता कर सकते हैं हमारे केंद्रीय नेतृत्व का और अपने काम निकाल सकते हैं, और इसके बाद इसको अपने लोगों पे उतना ध्यान देने का जरूरत नहीं है। The accountability was lost, the power structure was disturbed पूरा। तो ये टाइप के विषय पे बहुत सारे पेपर्स बहुत लोग लिखे हैं। I would like to quote Dr. Dotto. Then I would also recommend, for understanding non-Kuki Meitei society, the history of Zeliangrong Nagas by Gangummei Kamei, an excellent historian who actually wrote the pain, how the Naga society, the nature of it changed over that. And these political matters affected everybody, केवल Kuki Meitei नहीं। तो ये टाइप ऑफ सोसाइटी में रहते हुए 1960s में मणिपुर लैंड रिफॉर्म लैंड रेवेन्यू एक्ट आया। इस पे क्या बोले? इस पे बोले कि तथाकथित ये जो अंग्रेजों का हिल एरिया है, यहाँ पे वहीं के भूमिपुत्र जमीन नहीं खरीद सकते। अब यहाँ पे एक मिसकॉन्सेप्शन है, वहां पे जमीन नहीं खरीद सकते, ये केवल प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, प्रॉब्लम यह है कि जनजाति लोग यहाँ पे आके खरीद भी सकते हैं इम्फाल वैली में, तो ये जो खरीद पाते हैं इसका फायदा ये लोग दशकों से उठा रहा है, करोड़ों रुपया देके, मल्टीपल टाइम्स ब्लैक मनी देके, मार्केट प्राइस का, गरीब लोगों का जमीन हड़पना, पॉलिटिशियंस का जमीन लेना। कंगथई बोल के एक बहुत जगह है आपके इम्फाल वैली के साउथ ईस्ट एरिया में, आज का एक बहुत पॉपुलर पॉलिटिशियन है, उनके मतलब दादाजी का जमीन था, वो जमीन कुकी लोग काफी सारे ब्लैक मार्केट मतलब काफी सारे पैसे ब्लैक मनी और फॉरेन फंडेड मनी देके ये किए। अब ये जो नॉर्थ ईस्ट में कॉमन थीम ऑफ कन्वर्शन इज द कन्वर्शन स्पीडेड अप आफ्टर 1950 when foreign funding became abundant, when the Indian government pursued the isolationist policy, and when आपका क्या बोलते हैं मतलब सेपरेटिज्म प्रमोट करने में चर्च लग गए, एथनो नेशनलिज्म या एथनिक आइडेंटिटीज इनको सेपरेट कंट्री देना, इस पे जब चर्च इन्वॉल्व हुए, दैट वाज द रूट कॉज। ये जो कन्वर्शन चीज है ये कोई अच्छा उद्देश्य के लिए नहीं हुआ, ये हुआ था ताकि फॉरेन नेशन या बाकी विदेशी लोगों पे ये लोग सहारे, ये लोग मतलब अपना जियोपॉलिटिक्स चला पाए इस एरिया में। अब ये जो मैटर है आपके, हम लोग जा रहे थे 1960s के इसके, तो ये वजह से ये हुआ कि इनके इम्फाल वैली में भी कहीं ज्यादा लैंड चले जा रहे हैं। अब इनके एसटी डिमांड्स, ये एक मैटर से मैं इनके थोड़ा पॉपुलर थिंक टैंक से थोड़ा डिसएग्री करता हूँ। एसटी डिमांड इनको इक्वालिटी दे सकता है कुछ हद तक, बट इट कैनॉट प्रोटेक्ट देम, क्योंकि एसटी डिमांड विल प्रोटेक्ट देम फ्रॉम द रेस्ट ऑफ भारत। And if you are isolating yourself now while fighting a global ecosystem from the rest of Bharat, then who will be there to save you? You might as well sign a suicide note. So this ST demand आपका can at best work as a band-aid for 10 to 15 years. लेकिन उससे ज्यादा इसका कोई वैल्यू नहीं। So that is why I had been one of the people who had been notably silent on this ST demand. And so has been many of their most learned people, like Bimola Koijan, other people, the MP who became, the educationist who became an MP, सभी ये लोग चुप थे। तो आगे का मैटर अगर हम लोग देखें तो ये पहला प्रॉब्लम। दूसरा प्रॉब्लम क्या था, 1971 में इनको दिया गया आर्टिकल 371(3)(c) के तहत समथिंग कॉल्ड अ डिस्ट्रिक्ट काउंसिल्स एक्ट। ये डिस्ट्रिक्ट काउंसिल्स एक्ट क्या है? Basically, they were given something very close to that of Schedule 6, or total autonomy almost. जिनमें they were even allowed to impose taxes on legally taxable authorities. मतलब सोचिए टैक्सेशन सिस्टम तक ऑटोनॉमी इतना तक मिला, और अभी ये लोग सेपरेट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन डिमांड कर रहा है। द रियलिटी इज दे आर एंजॉयिंग सेपरेट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन फॉर 53 years, and this is just an excuse to trigger violence. तो इसके बाद अगर हम लोग थोड़ा देखने जाए इनके सेपरेटिज्म का रूट्स, इनके सेपरेटिज्म का रूट्स डेट बैक टू 1960। 1960 में फर्स्ट दे सेंट अ क्लियर डॉक्यूमेंट टू पंडित नेहरू मेंशनिंग दैट कुकीज हैव नथिंग कॉमन विद भारतीयंस। दे क्लेम दैट द ऑफन मतलब ये जो given an argument होता है, the nonsensical argument that animism is different somehow from Sanatan Dharma or other practices, which is a missionary narrative again. So that was given. They also claim that their culture, their habits, their stay, they had nothing similar with that of Bharatiyas, but they were very much willing to claim themselves as मूल निवासी भारतीय। ST rights के समय कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, लेकिन मतलब you see the dichotomy and hypocrisy. If you are looking really for a separate state under different things, why do you claim yourself to be Mool Nivasi people? And if you are claiming to be Mool Nivasi Bharatiya, then why are you telling that you have nothing tied common with culture? So these are these things clearly prove that their intentions were not good right from the 1960s. फिर 1971 में ये डिस्ट्रिक्ट काउंसिल एक्ट बेसिकली allowed them to monopolize local politics, और इसका सबसे घातक अंजाम ये हुआ कि जिसके पास ये एसटी राइट का ठप्पा नहीं है, अगर आप कोई मणिपुरी हो हिल एरिया में रहते हुए, आप इलेक्शन में खड़े नहीं हो सकते, आपका कोई इलेक्टोरल रिप्रेजेंटेशन नहीं रहा, तो ना आपका वोट है, ना आपके पास जमीन खरीदने का अधिकार है, अब जाओगे तो जाओगे कहाँ? ऐसा सिचुएशन और डिस्क्रिमिनेशन इनके साथ 53 इयर्स तक चल रहा है। और इधर ये जो कुकी लोग है, ये लोग बोल रहा है कि हमारे साथ ये जेनोसाइड का मामला चल रहा है। तो ये मैटर पे बहुत हद तक हमें ये देखना पड़ेगा कि what kind of atrocities they had to go through। और बहुत सारे ऐसे इलाके हैं जहां पे दशकों तक वोट नहीं दे पाए। ये मैतेई लोग केवल नहीं, जो बिहारी, मरवारी ये लोग हैं। अब आगे जाते हैं, सिचुएशन 1980s तक कैसा था। 1980s तक चुराचांदपुर और ये जो मोरे के एरिया था, these were illegal black marketing hubs, बर्मीज गुड्स लाने के लिए। तो यहाँ पे they had very big business opportunities। तो वहां पे केवल आप these became two very important cosmopolitan areas, जहां पे मोरे में जैसे तमिलियन, क्रिश्चियन एंड क्रिसमस वाज अ वेरी स्मॉल फेस्टिवल देयर। उससे ज्यादा गोरखा थे जिनके जन्माष्टमी बहुत बड़े तरीके से होते थे। तमिल लोग, हजारों तमिल, 10,000 के ऊपर बर्मीज तमिल वहां पे सेटल हुए, जिनके तमिल संगम अनुष्ठान होते थे। फिर उसके बाद आपका अगर आगे जाओगे तो तीसरा कम्युनिटी आप देखोगे, मलयाली, बंगाली, बिहारी, एकदम इट वाज अ पॉट बॉयलर। और सभी के साथ शामिल होते थे जब तक ये कुकी लोगों के प्रॉब्लम्स ना आए। तो उसके बाद अगर अगला आप देखोगे, फिर क्या आता है अगर हम लोग देखें 1980s में, दूसरा जाते हैं चुराचांदपुर, जो हब ऑफ द अनदर मेजर हब ऑफ वायलेंस। ये चुराचांदपुर में क्या था, चुराचांदपुर वाज द अदर एंड गेटवे ऑफ डिफरेंट मटेरियल्स एंड प्रोडक्ट्स ऑफ गेटिंग। तो वहां पे भी बहुत सारे बिजनेसमैन, ट्रेडर्स आए, क्योंकि जहां पे भी इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट हो, भले वो लीगल इलीगल जैसे भी हो, मतलब बॉर्डर तो पूरा था, नामो निशान अभी भी कुछ ज्यादातर सिक्योरिटी का था नहीं। मतलब 2016-17 में आप जाओगे तो आधार कार्ड भी चेक नहीं होता था ज्यादातर जगह, यू कैन सिंपली वॉक अक्रॉस। ये सिचुएशन था। तो इस टाइप के परिस्थिति में अगर आप देखोगे तो दिस वाज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, ये मोरे और चुराचांदपुर में, कि बिजनेसमैन सेटल हुए टू सपोर्ट दिस इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट थिंग। तो एक इकोसिस्टम तैयार हुआ। फिर कुकी लोग आके क्या किया, कुकी इलीगल इमिग्रेशन शुरू हुआ राइट फ्रॉम द डे द परमिट सिस्टम वाज एबोलिश्ड। In older Manipur, there was something called a permit system, which prevented the entry of foreigners at around say how many from any other parts to enter Manipur and buy land. They had to take permission and they had to register themselves where they're staying. Now that was removed. Good, Himmat Singh removed it, but he removed it in the middle of a civil war going on in Burma. Kareen, communist, these people, they had more than 60% of the country under their hand. It is estimated that Burma lost a major portion of its economy permanently as a result of that war. And conservative estimates claim thousands, tens of thousands people dead. तो इस समय आप अगर परमिट सिस्टम खोल दोगे तो अंजाम क्या होगा? अंजाम ये होगा कि एक कुकी कम्युनिटी अगर नाम ले था, दो, उनका पॉपुलेशन डिकेडल ग्रोथ रेट वाज 177%। मतलब द इलीगल इमिग्रेशन स्टार्टेड फ्रॉम द वेरी डे दैट दिस वाज डन। और दीज आर numbers from official censuses. So these census numbers are highly underreported, so you can consider these to be much higher. अब illegal immigration next phase क्या हुआ? जनरल नेविन के आने में 1959 to 62 इस समय एटलीस्ट 1500 परिवार इलीगली घुसे। भारत सरकार ने उनको टैक्स के पैसे से बैठाए, बट दे डिड नॉट ट्रैक ये लोग कहाँ जाए। So at least 9 to 10,000 people simply claimed themselves as Bharatiya citizens and settled down there. One of them, Henkosei Haukip, he died. He had a wonderful life, had a family, died in 2015 in Churachandpur, and broadcast his funeral on YouTube. और ये लेके बहुत बड़ा बवाल हुआ, और उसके बाद भी उसके परिवार को डिपोर्ट नहीं किया गया। वो एसटी राइट्स लेके अभी मूल निवासी भारतीय बन चुके हैं। सो दिस इज वन थिंग। अब तीसरा पॉइंट आता है इस पे। तो ये जो सिचुएशन अगर देखा जाए तो ये इलीगल इमिग्रेशन का एक मेजर फेज रहा, बाकी समय भी चलता ही रहा। दूसरा मेजर फेज था ड्यूरिंग द 8888 रेवोल्यूशन या अगस्त 8, 1988। उस समय भी बहुत ज्यादा इलीगल इमिग्रेशन हुआ, लेकिन India was not the popular destination at that time. बाकी देशों में जाते थे, less than 10% would come to Bharat. But from 2021, Bharat became the most popular destination for these illegal immigrants. These illegal immigrants since 2021 by conservative estimate, मैं जितना रिपोर्ट कर पाया हूँ, 95,000 illegal immigrants had entered from Burma to Bharat at a conservative estimate. Or Bharat has become the most popular destination of illegal immigrants from Burma. And most of these people who are coming are not normal people. Most of them are combat veterans. इसके बारे में मैं कुछ कुछ आपके विक्टिम टेस्टिमोनी से 2-3 लाइन में आपको बोलूंगा इसके बाद में. But I am, before coming to this violence, I want to give a very good overview of this situation, because people are seeing this violence out of the context of this history. It's not Maiti versus Kuki. It's an invasion. It's a 70-year-long invasion of your country going on. And these invaders are being paid with our taxpayer money and enjoying immunity from security forces while bombing our civilians. This reality has to be established with facts. That is what the Tathakatit Rashtravadi Sarkar is doing. So these things have to be established with facts and above party politics. Now coming to this matter.
Right.
अब अगर आगे हम लोग देखें फिर क्या हुआ, फिर ये हुआ कि अगर हम लोग देखें 1980s में More, the border town of Tengnopal and those areas in southeast Manipur became the worst affected areas. There was a demographic inversion there. और तीसरा illegal immigration was the final blow. अब इस पे हम लोग देखते हैं illegal immigration हुआ, ये हुआ, कितने extent तक हुआ. The Thado community population grew from 1951 to 2011 at a rate of 2,508%, which is 9 times more than that of the indigenous population. बांग्लादेश का 1971 का illegal immigration भूल जाए. दूसरा एक और क्रिश्चियन वाईफाई कम्युनिटी, that Wi-Fi community grew at the rate of 912% between 1951 and क्या बोलते हैं and 2011. The Mar community registered a 300% plus growth in Manipur after having a large scale immigration into Assam, where their population between 1990 to 2000 grew by 49%. तो मतलब आप समझ सकते हो ना, these numbers, can these numbers ever be realized biologically? Forget by humans, even some species of animals cannot realize these numbers biologically. So
even rabbits cannot do that.
Yeah, so basically this is the point of illegal immigration. So these matters have to be done, these matters have to be considered. Now coming into the other points, let us go into the other context of it. I will keep illegal immigration here, there. I want to give just an overview today. Maybe we'll need to go into each of these topics in detail in future. Now coming into the next point of the violence. Violence in Manipur had always been a part of this associated with the cookies. I was telling, right, this identity. The cookies did not, it would be wrong to say that the cookies were only attacking Hindus. No, they are attacking any indigenous community who are not willing to assimilate them with them. So they are forcing, they had been forcing indigenous communities of Bharat to assimilate with them, convert to Christianity, and join their cause. Why? Because they are trying to create a homogeneous identity all across this area and claim an independent nation. Now coming to this Project K. This Project K has been on work since 1960. There was a huge clash between two Janajatis, fellow Kuki Chin-Mizo language speakers, Mar and Kukis in 1960. That was done to assimilate them, to create umbrella terms. There has been a lot of effort to create umbrella terms to include all these Janajatis under one umbrella and claim that separatist nation. And who is funding that? China initially. But now the major funding is coming from US, UK and European Union. In fact, the letters they wrote demanding to break Bharat These cookie groups, World Cookies Intellectual Council, their international council, they even agreed to let the British rule over this independent country, but they were unwilling to stay with Hindu
Wow.
India. Now they are, and they sent such letters to Germany, Olaf Scholz also. They sent such letters to Israel also. So there are multiple letters like this, allowing, and they are claiming alongside to be Rashtrabhaks. So this is, they're good. They will make good politicians. Let's just make it on a lighter note. So this is one of the important things. Now coming to this matter. So this project K, this includes parts of Chin, Sagaing areas of Burma. This includes major part around representations vary कार्टून और मैप रिप्रेजेंटेशन मैप में कैसे दिखाया गया वो थोड़ा फर्क होता है उसमें लेकिन मैप में अगर आप देखोगे आधा से दो तिहाई 50 to 66% of Manipur they are claiming and they are claiming large parts of Tripura, they are claiming large parts of Assam, and they are claiming Mizoram entirely, and they are claiming the Chattogram hill tracts along with the strategic warm water port there. So this thing will be a dream for United States or any Western country. Why? It will allow them to monitor Bharat and China, and it will act as a second Christianistan, or which Madhukeshwarji tells. I call it a Christian Pakistan, but she disagrees with the term. She says your Urdu is horrible, so I'll agree with her term, Christianistan. So anyway,
That's okay.
this Christianistan will forever cut us off from Southeast Asia, totally removing our access to any of these minerals, materials, and our future geopolitical goals. And the Rakhine and other areas of Burma, they have thousands of crores worth of minerals, including pretty rare ones. So this is a gold mine. And they will always get foreign support, no matter how many people they kill, murder, torture, or whatever. So this is one place where our government is missing a trick. International pressure will always be there here, no matter what horrors they commit, because it's too beneficial for the powerful nations, what they are doing. So that is what allows them to be so bold and so brazen and declare war basically against the civilians, because they know that they can get away with these consequences. Radhika ji, drug is just the fuel to this problem. Let us see the real problems. Let us not get caught in narratives. Wherever missionaries go, drugs follow. The root is somewhere else. Drugs is just the manifestation and the fuel. It's like asking, how do you stop the fuel of a car in a race? Let us stop the race first. Why the race is going on? Let us stop the supply of cars going there. The fuel itself will become irrelevant in terms of this. Drugs is very important, but it's not the primary cause of this. There are lots of other deeper dynamics in here. Now coming into the other factors, if we go into this is Project K. Now Sheikh Hasina asking for a Christian country, she mentions Bangladesh and she mentions Myanmar, but it is clear that she was mentioning this thing. And St. Martin's Island, USA was claiming for a base. Obviously that would give them lot of support for refueling and other purposes. So these are all related. And cookies are running separatist movements in Bangladesh as well as in Burma. They are fighting everywhere. So these matters have to be done. And everywhere they are committing horrible atrocities. So it's not just a problem in here. Now coming back to the violent history of the cookies. First comes the cookie mar clash, which I will exclude because it's not a attempt to cleanse the native religion. So I will only come into those matters. Second came More. I told that there was a demographic inversion during the 8888 thing. Within 4 years, there was a deadly clash between the Kikis and the Nagas. The Nagas inflicted more casualties on the Kukis, but the Kukis managed to get the geopolitically important locations. Their planning was better. They got the gateway, More, of our Act East policy. More than 10,000 Nagas were driven out from there. They got the gateway into Manipur Kampokpi at that time, Impal Valley. So basically, they had a stranglehold on the entrances and exits. The Meiteis, they were too busy with that agenda of separatism and other problems and other issues. They did not pay attention at that time. The few intellectuals who told were silent. Nobody paid attention. Then it was the Tamils' turn in 1995. They kidnapped a 7-year-old child of a Tamil businessman and brutally murdered him. So the Tamilians protested. They were attacked. That, and along with the closure of the Namphalang market, along with the closure of the morning market, it's the common name of that, due to the more availability of Burmese markets near border, that led to the displacement of another 10,000 Tamils at least. They were displaced from Burma. And even during this violence, at least 44 houses and 6 shops of Tamilians were burned only during May 3rd. So, this also misconception has to go. Do not call this Kuki Meitei clash. Gorkhas were wiped out from 3 districts of Manipur. If they also deserve our respect, nobody is going to speak for them. They are only 63,000 in number in Manipur. At least someone has to speak for them. So do not call this by a Kuki Meitei clash. Kuki community, Myanmar, yes, majority of the Kuki population is actually in Myanmar only. Chin state comes from Chin Kuki. Sagaing area also there is a sizable population. And they are also found in Mizoram. Mizoram पे भी उनके 30 कुछ % population है. Again, this is a colonial term, na? So they will continue claiming to add more and more Janajatis as Kuki. They will try to kill, threaten, and bully Janajatis who do not accept to be Kuki. So it is very difficult to exactly specify the terms in Kuki because they keep shifting the goalpost. What is a Kuki? But I am just telling by the more accepted terms, which the scholars agree. Because now coming to this point, देखिए, Inderjit ji, we already discussed this, right? ST reservation, that will be a temporary solution, but that won't give them any long-term relief from this. Long-term relief, you need more changes. Now coming into this, आपको एक चीज बोले थे कि 2021 से illegal immigration peaked up. Why did it peak up from 2021? Because of another blunder by our Mahan Sarkar. 2002 में they made an amendment to the SC/ST Amendment Act, which they mentioned any Kuki tribe or any Lushai tribe as indigenous ST. So what, as ST, not indigenous, as ST. So what happened? Suppose there are lots of communities having small populations of Kukis in Manipur and having larger population across. So what will this happen? The smaller populations which are there, they will simply, the smaller population ones, they will simply invite the larger population ones here and claim them to be indigenous citizens, give them ST rights and go away. And Kuki village chiefs, they enjoy nearly autocratic power. They can simply issue residential certificates. And being a village chief means you are the sole owner of all lands in your village. Basically, you get 20 people whose votes you can manipulate because you own all their land and everything. With this draconian thing together, it incentivized illegal immigration like never before. So that is one of the root causes कि illegal immigration इतना. इसके पहले 10% जाते थे, अभी 60%. क्यों? Because of this act. चौथा एक्ट क्या है? मणिपुर के स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, तथाकथित मैती गवर्नमेंट भी ज्यादा पीछे नहीं रहा. इन्होंने भी एक महान एक्ट पास करवाया 2022 में. दे पास्ड द गेजेट नोटिफिकेशन 903A, where they basically mentioned that we are going to give indigenous status to anybody who has an ST status. So basically what it means, the illegal immigrants who came automatically become ST and automatically become indigenous in Manipur. Despite the indigenous people having a 3,000-year history and the cookies having no mention ever before 1740s. तो वो भी that is negligible population. तो these are some of the root causes. Next, after अब मैं थोड़ा वायलेंस के पीछे ही आता हूँ. 1995 में तमिल के बाद क्या हुआ? उसके बाद नंबर आया मिजोरम में, ब्रू रियांग चकमा, मतलब thousands. ब्रू रियांग over 35 to 40,000, Chakma another 35 to 40,000, horribly raped, murdered, displaced. और इनको त्रिपुरा में जाने के बाद भी they did not leave them alone. वहां पे भी इनको हैरास किए. त्रिपुरा में भी मिजोरम के गवर्नमेंट, there was a beautiful thing called Achu Subrai. There was a structure built in a hill called Subrai Khong. It's the highest peak of Tripura. These cookies, they went in, just like Bamiyan, the terrorists there, they just broke and reduced it to dust. Just like the same thing they did to 1547 temples during this violence, the same thing they did there. This is an old habit of them, which just keeps repeating. History shows them. So after that destruction, there was talks of rebuilding that Shiv Mandir. The Mizoram government sent its own police to interfere within the jurisdiction of another state to prevent this Shiv Mandir from being constructed. And this I am talking of from 2020. This is not ancient history. So imagine the kind of hatred and xenophobia which exists there. So, and the kind of organization and other things which they have shown to cover this up, it makes it even more dangerous. चौथा नंबर आया किसका? चौथा नंबर आया आसाम में, दिमासा, हिडिंबा के वंशज, भीम और हिडिंबा के वंशज, हिंदुओं के, दिमासा के. दिमासा को इन्होंने क्या बोले? दिमासा को इन्होंने ये बोले कि आप लोग जो दिमासा लोग हैं यहाँ पे, इनको धर्मांतरित करना है, मिशनरीज ने बोले. तो ये जो मार जनजाति है, वही कुकीचिन मिजो अम्ब्रेला में इनको भेजे. ये लोग गालियां देना, धर्मांतरित करना, सब टाइप के चेष्टा करने लगे. अब दिमासा के भीतर भी भारत के प्रति बहुत गुस्सा था, इनके भी अपने मिलिटेंट ग्रुप्स थे. बट व्हाट दे डिड, दे वांटेड टू क्रिएट अ क्रिश्चियन कॉरिडोर राइट फ्रॉम म्यांमार टू बांग्लादेश. तब खालिदा जिया था उस समय 1990s में. तो उसी समय जब ये प्लान बनाया गया था, तो दे थॉट ऑफ दैट. उससे क्या होता है, एनएससीएन से शुरू करके सारे टेररिस्ट ग्रुप्स को ये बेस मिल जाता है. तो एनएससीएन, मिशनरी, मार, ये सब मिलके दिमासा लोगों पे आक्रमण किए. लोधी कछारी उनके जो मतलब बहुत फेमस स्थान है वो जला दिए. कम से कम 60 दिमासा गांव का नामो निशान मिटा दिए. हजारों दिमासा लोग बेघर हुए. फिर उसके बाद सिंहासन पहाड़, कार्बी कुकी क्लैशेस, ये जो हुआ वो भी सेम चीज था. कार्बी आंगलोंग ऑल्सो वाज एन एरिया वेयर देयर इंटरेस्ट, दैट इज लाइक द नेक ऑफ असम, लोअर असम और अपर असम को कनेक्ट करने के लिए. And they wanted to create a continuous corridor that separates the Christians between Meghalaya and that of Nagaland and other parts. तो ये नेक को ऑक्युपाई करने के लिए. तो ये जो कार्बी कुकी क्लैश हुआ, इसका अंजाम क्या हुआ? More than 35,000 victims were recorded within the first week. They actually launched a full-fledged military operation called Operation Volcanoes. ये जो ऑपरेशन वॉल्केनो चलाए थे, इसके अंजाम में भी बहुत खतरनाक हुआ. कार्बी ट्राइड देयर बेस्ट बट देयर नो मैच, इतने सारे फ्रंट्स में ऐसे टाइप के. तो नेक्स्ट हुआ क्या, इनके सिंहासन हिल्स का जिंजर प्रोडक्शन, ये सब चीजें सब कुकी लोगों के हाथ में अभी आ गए. दे आर डोमिनेटिंग ऑल दिस ट्रेड्स. वहां के जो खासी जनजाति थे, जो नॉन कन्वर्टेड लोग थे, उनको मास में जगह छोड़ना पड़ा. फिर अगला अगर हम लोग जाए 2007 में, कुकी मैतेई पे फर्स्ट अटैक मोरे में, कहीं सारे मतलब कम से कम 11 लोगों का मृत्यु हुआ उसमें. 2015 में आईएलपी के बहाने कुकी मैतेई के क्लैशेस, मैतेई काउंसिल मोरे का प्रेसिडेंट के घर जला दिए थे उस समय में. फिर आता है 2023, तो इतने सारे रक्त और लाशें बिछाए हैं ये कुकी लोग. अब इनको सरकार क्या दिया है? इनको सरकार एक सस्पेंशन ऑफ ऑपरेशंस एग्रीमेंट दिया है. मेरे हिसाब से दिस इज द बिगेस्ट रीजन एंड द बिगेस्ट कर्स. इट्स अ कर्स ऑन हमारे भारतीय सभ्यता का कि ऐसे एग्रीमेंट कभी एग्जिस्ट भी करता है. The suspension of operation agreements क्या है? This basically allows the cookies to get almost unlimited, मतलब क्या बोलते हैं, बेनिफिट. जैसे इनके काफी सारे टर्म्स था कि रिक्रूट नहीं कर सकते, एट्रोसिटीज नहीं कर सकते, एक्सटॉर्ट नहीं कर सकते, बट नन ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट्स वर एबल टू एनफोर्स दीज टर्म्स. तो ये लोग सब कुछ करते रहे और उसके साथ साथ दे आर एंजॉयिंग अ मंथली स्टाइपेंड ऑफ 6,500 rupees फ्रॉम आवर टैक्स पेयर मनी, एंड दे आर, मतलब क्या बोलते हैं, enjoying immunity from security forces, military operations, both state and central. और सबसे दुखद बात है,
huge money.
after not answering our hundreds of RTI petitions, this तथाकथित राष्ट्रवादी government who claims to be Rashtravadi, who wears tripund all situations, what they have done is they have extended this SU agreement this year also. And same thing. And what they have done is that they have simply shifted the camps about 5 or 10 kilometers. This is their reward after murdering nearly 100 Hindus and gunning down 13 security personnel. After May 27, not a single large-scale retaliatory operation has been done in the hills. They are being allowed to bomb people, drone attacks. ये जो drone attacks हो रहा है, these drone attacks, receipts of them purchasing drones, me and many other people had been sending to government authorities for 8 months. Lakhs of money. One single receipt is there from Binay Minashe from Israel, who sent 3,90,000 rupees. They have clearly mentioned to ITLF, drone department. ITLF, does they have FCRA? That's a straight violation of FCRA Act. Second thing,
Vladimir will just-
sorry, I got a call.
Yeah.
I'm back. Yeah. So second thing is that a very important matter is being brought, that these kind of things, like if we look into these situations, whenever, how to explain this? Okay, I'll make it in a simpler way. Whenever you are giving these kind of agreements or these kind of things, these camps are surrounding Imphal Valley like a noose. So these people, they are going willing, matlab not taking reactive action, proactive action is allowing them to split up into small groups, be heavily armed, and target civilians and gun them down and run away without any consequence. Now, मैं मानता हूँ, now coming, this is a major problem. Now coming to the regarding the government's decision of not taking action, a very popular agreement is the border is porous. Mizoram is openly supporting them, and Mizoram has refused to take biometrics of illegal immigrants from Bangladesh as well as Myanmar. Why? Because Bangladesh has Chin cookies who are best friends with, guess who? Jamatul Ansar. Jamatul Ansar and cookies. The cookies have been training the Jamatul Ansar since 2022 in the Chattogram hill tribes and providing them weapons with that huge cache of drug money and other things, the bomb and other communities. And Mizoram is refusing to take fingerprints of them who are coming in. And terrorists have been caught in the Mizoram border. So basically these Kuki Chin Mizo language people, they speaking people, they are prioritizing their ethnicity over the interests of other people. Now, इतना देशद्रोहिता इनमें कहाँ से आता है? Where is the ideology which fuels this thing? The ideology is mentioned in a book called Zalengam by P.S. Hawkip in 1988. So when we go into this 1988 book by P.S. Hawkip, what does he mention? He calls this land as a Christian country where they will only worship Christ, not free to worship Christ, only worship Christ. And it is mentioned as a Lebensraum of only Kuki Chin Mizo language speakers. पहला बात है, this land is not brought from a feeling of nationalism, but it's sought from a feeling of exclusion. लोगों को अत्याचार करो, उनके नॉन रिकॉग्नाइज करो, जो हजारों साल के पुराना कोबरू महादेव के मंदिर है, या थंगजिंग के मंदिर है, या लाई पुखरी है इनके, they have sent petitions during this crisis to de-recognize these thousands of holy sites as holy sites. That is the level of hatred, and they had sent it to scheduled caste councils. Tathagatit. So this kind of exclusion, the real reason for it is to solely enjoy the resources and persecute the non-Christian population, particularly the native people who do not share their ethnicities and those things. And the church is providing full support to them. जब illegal immigration हो रहा था, I'll name some schools. Bethany Christian School. This was one of the schools in Churachandpur who was giving language education to illegal immigrants so that they could assimilate easily. Young Learners, Saltbrook School, Rayban School and College, by the way, to whom the UGC gave a B+ thing. Ebenezer Academy. Ebenezer Academy was caught multiple times training child soldiers during the middle of this conflict. All of these schools are accused of horribly mentally torturing non-Christian students, incentivizing them with conversions, discriminating against them in terms of results, promotions, and all sorts of things. Young Learner, it was mandatory to read the Bible whether you are Christian or not. But it's a secular name. Why? It's a US-funded enterprise. तो ये मैटर आपको बहुत अच्छे तौर से देखना पड़ेगा. Even the Mar Dimasa clashes of 2003, that was orchestrated from Manipur, Churachandpur, by a priest called Rochunga Pudaite, a missionary. And where did he get the funding from? Illinois, Indo-Burma Society, US. So the US, मेरा एक बड़ा view है. We are talking too much about China, but it's immediately to our interest to keep the West. Every single Bharatiya should consider the West as a mortal enemy of us, because the real problem of the West is that we exist, who we are. It's not a border dispute. So when you have this kind of problem, that is basically a genocide. That is what they want. So this situation we have to see. So then coming back into it, into these contexts, sorry Maheshji, I am giving these contexts because I don't think these are told in many public domain things.
They're not. Very true.
So इसके बाद next, if we go into this current violent conflict, the current violent conflict has been taking place in several phases. The first phase of this conflict was de-Hinduization. In Churachandpur, what did they do? They started occupying cremation grounds, just what they were doing in Bangladesh. They started driving Hindus out of profitable businesses. They started ensuring that cooperatives or mortgages in the name of that Hindus cannot buy land. They tried everything, but terrorist groups would come. And then designate Oh, just give me 1 minute. I just got a call. Just give me 1 minute. I'll come back.
Sure. सॉरी दोस्तों, ये बड़ा ही इम्पोर्टेंट मुद्दा है और मुझे लगा कि ये कई बार आपको लग सकता है बीच बीच में कि बहुत थ्योरेटिकल हो रहा है, लेकिन ये जरूरी है क्योंकि ये जो थ्योरेटिकल इन्फॉर्मेशन भी है ये बड़ी क्रिटिकल है जो हमारे पास नहीं है. हमारे यहाँ जो सारी खबर आती है वो आपको या तो कुछ वेब चैनल्स पे जो न्यूज़पेपर्स के जो चैनल्स हैं आप जानते हैं, या भारतवर्ष वगैरह में जो आता रहा है नॉर्थ ईस्ट को लेकर, या आप देखते हैं कि अखबारों में कुछ आर्टिकल आते हैं, बट उसके अलावा आपने देखा होगा कुछ बहुत नहीं आ रहा है, तो आया ही नहीं है मतलब.
अच्छा महेश जी, I'll continue for 10 minutes and then I'll have to take a call and then I'll come back. I hope you do not have any problems. It's a very urgent one. Otherwise I wouldn't have taken. So I'll continue now. तो मेन देखिए, ये जो प्रॉब्लम था, ये जो टाइप ऑफ करंट वायलेंस था, इसका देन दे स्टार्टेड इनके बच्चों के साथ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, बच्चों के नाम कुछ भी रहे तो उनका मजाक उड़ाना और उसको अप्रिशिएट, उसी को एनकरेज करना, फिर इनके दिव्य स्थानों पे कब्जा करना. खुमुजाम्बापुंग इनके जो इतिहास स्थान है, ये रिटन हिस्ट्री और आर्कियोलॉजिकल एविडेंस के हिसाब से 236 AD से है वहां पे, जहां पे मैती लोगों के रहने का है. They occupied that land, claiming a colonial legislation in 2006 and claiming that this is their ancestral land. तो ये तो पहला बात. दूसरा क्या हुआ, इनके सारे जो हिल्स में जाने का फेस्टिवल था वहां पे कब्जा कर लिया. और ड्रग ट्रेड, द ड्रग ट्रेड स्टार्टेड एज अ fuel टू डू ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. और ड्रग ट्रेड के वजह से इनके बहुत सारे जंगले बर्बाद हो गए, इनके वेदर खराब हो गए. केमिकल्स लाइक डाई अमोनियम फॉस्फेट जो इस्तेमाल हुए, उनमें प्रेग्नेंट महिलाओं पे प्रॉब्लम दिखाई दे रहे थे, बाकी हेल्थ हैजर्ड्स दिखाई दे रहे थे. तो ये टाइप के प्रॉब्लम में बहुत हद तक मतलब भयंकर दिक्कतें शुरू होने लगे. तो ये ड्रग ट्रेड के वजह से. तो मेरा वही बात था कि इस टाइप ऑफ इश्यूज में अगर हम लोग देखें ड्रग ट्रेड या ये टाइप ऑफ इश्यूज में, तो दिस इज अ फ्यूल एंड अ मेजर इशू जिसके वजह से समाज बिगड़ा है, समाज को अपने रूट से कटा गया है. लेकिन दिस अलोन कैनॉट एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इज गोइंग ऑन इन मणिपुर. तो ड्रग ट्रेड में मैं और अभी ज्यादा नहीं बोलूंगा बिकॉज एनफ हैज बीन टॉक्ड इन मल्टीपल प्लेसेस. द करंट मणिपुर ड्रग ट्रेड इज एस्टिमेटेड टू बी अराउंड 70,000 crores worth of money, and the drugs caught just this year along the Manipur-Mizoram border is estimated to be around 22,000 crores. So, but that is just a drop in an ocean for them. It doesn't hurt them. So it's that much bigger than the GDPs of many nations. Now, coming into it, Kuki MLAs, the entire Kuki political administration. This Kuki political administration is basically very united with this intention of Zalengam, and 10 Kuki MLAs who are elected, every single one of them is either a member of a terrorist group or relative of a member of a terrorist group. So this is one thing. And most of them are in BJP party, the ones who demanded separate administration. And what happened? After demanding separate administration, after falsifying records of schools to get CBSE data with their names coming out, after not attending parliament for a year, they're still drawing a monthly salary of 2.5 lakhs. Sometimes make us wonder what kind of country we are living in. So under these situations, when we are going into such crises or such devastations, we have to consider ourselves where we are going and where we are seeing. Now coming back to the current, the result of this crisis, these repeated attacks, these repeated extortion, or the legal extortion so-called along the district council thing, as well as the illegal extortion from dozens of Kuki terrorist groups. What happens then? This allows the entire society. This basically destroyed the economic viability. This led to large exodus. And the consequence was that the Meitei population in More was very high, and it fell to around 20% by 2021. From a majority, they fell around 20% between 1990s and this. The population of Kukis were only around 29% in the 1960s, yet they claim More and other areas as their exclusive ancestral land. The hypocrisy has to be seen there. So now coming to the other points, when we are seeing into Churachandpur and Chandel, the Hindu population was 4.28% and 7.5% by 2011. So look, when the attacks happened, it was not majority minority. It was the same repetition of Kashmir. So the 2023 violence was just a final blow to destroy to wipe the indigenous Hindus out from large parts of Manipur. And they have succeeded mostly. They have managed to wipe out the indigenous Hindus from around 10,000 square kilometers of Manipur. They have managed to destroy 1,547 temples. Many of them used bulldozers. Many of them they used explosives. Many of them they reduced to dust. Nothing is left. So after that, what the government gives them? Our taxpayer money benefits. No operations there. No, nothing. Now the question is the government working against the people? It is not that simple to put. I would put it in this way. It's a nuanced argument. I would say the government is behaving in a very weak manner, often not caring about whether the indigenous people think. There is something called a demographic integrity and a political integrity. Unfortunately, the government is bothering more about the political integrity than the demographic integrity of that region. Whereas I think we should bother about the second more as a people. Political integrity in a Hindu neighboring region, you will never feel out at home. Now, coming to these areas, what happens is that next what it became. The next most important perspective, if we see in this kind of crisis, is that the Manipur matter, if we see, is the violence final blow. How it started? It started from April 27th. There was large amount of violence, mob violence. The mob smashed every single CCTV camera in Churachandpur. And then in the night, there were the police actually had to use tear gas, commandos had to be deployed, and quite many of the rioters were arrested. What happened? The BJP MLA of Saikot, Pauline Lal Haukip, he came in and freed all these rioters who allegedly contained many terrorists on bail. बहुत सारे आतंकवादी और rioters को bail में छुड़ा ले गए. And he has a photograph in police station posing with them in public domain. Next, LM Khaute, who was a former police, he took Z-grade security and left, leaving these 4% Hindus too at the jaws of death.
Mercy.
Then came the violence at 3rd May. 3rd May, what happened? First, they burnt more than 16 forest bungalows, even before anything happened. Why were they burning forest bungalows? Because these contain the records of illegal immigrants. So these illegal immigrants, so they burned those down. And then under these conditions, with these forest bungalows being burned down, they continued their activities. So Bumwal, Matamualtam, Saikot, these things were burned down. And then came the mob violence phase. More than 20,000 Hindus were displaced on May 3rd alone. So this horrible mob violence phase started, and the retaliation started in Imphal from May 4th. With the retaliation going on in Imphal, what happened is that this allowed people to basically stop the violence in its tracks. Any decisive action at that time would have helped, but the government was paralyzed. So what happened? The cookies went into plan B very quickly. Small groups of terrorists started moving in and started shooting civilians and security personnel from May 10th itself. 11th in Tronglaobi, 1 commando attained Veergati and 4 policemen were injured. Kuki politicians were openly out in the streets by May 27th, threatening women on gunpoint in Imphal itself, Moidam and other areas. Farmers were being shot while working in fields. The hills were lined up with snipers all over. Then came the second phase, the mobile military operations with large numbers of gun battles. That started with a 3-pronged attack on Imphal Valley. तीनों दिशा से Imphal Valley में जो आक्रमण हुआ from May 27th. So with this attack on Imphal Valley from 3 sides on May 27th, what happened then? What happened was that with this attack on Imphal Valley, a very dangerous trend happened, and they were attempting to conquer Manipur basically. But the security personnel responded very well, and 40 Kuki terrorists were gunned down that day itself. After that, no such action ever took place. So why we all have to wonder how much things. Now coming to the next point. What happens is that third point, what happened then was that there was the large gun battles involving huge 12 or 15 hour gun battles in the peripheral areas of Imphal Valley until late June. Then bunkers were built, lines were solidified, and there were sporadic attacks. Then came the fourth phase, the major attack on Jiribam. More than 8 Jiribam is the alternative route of entering Manipur, and the railway track is being made. Strategically, Mars and Kukis were being settled there for years, and they took advantage of it, and they attacked Jiribam, and they fired, and they destroyed, and they burnt, and they pillaged. Very few reaction there also. In fact, the ordering security forces to not proactively pursue and gun down these people by going in the hills and doing large-scale net operations with making concentric circles is something which I will never understand. why they are not doing. So with these kind of things being done, the blood of Hindus are flowing like river. And now the most dangerous situation is the Manipuri society is in an economically unviable situation. The entire goal which people are saying is that we will bring peace. It won't help. The land available to Manipuris has been shrinking rapidly. Since 1990, every decade, the land prices have been increasing by between 100% to 300%. Now, with 45% people living in less than 4% livable land, the land prices alone will drive out most of 70 to 80% of the Hindu population of Imphal Valley within 15 years. So it is a real matter of study whether there will be any Hindus left in Manipur. A Bangladeshi professor is asking whether there will be any Hindus left in Bangladesh in 30 years. I want to ask the question, how many Hindus will be left in Manipur after 20 years? And that will be a bloodless coup for the church. All they need to do is keep pumping in crores of money and buying up the land. They will have nowhere else to go without these legal reforms.
Yeah.
So these are things which have to be reminded. Now I would like to end with the drone thing within 2 or 3 minutes, and then I will, Maheshji, give me just 2 minutes. I'll just attend the urgent call and come back and answer questions if I have your permission. Okay.
Yes, well,
So now coming into this situation, what we have is an extremely urgent issue which tells that drone bombing has been going, drones are being used in Manipur for a long time. There are records of surveillance drones being used to gun down villagers in January. There are records of drones being acquired from Delhi as well with 1,53,000 price things, and also the Binay Minashi things. So it's not just foreign things. Foreign, they might get the training in Myanmar. These terrorists who did the attack were trained in Myanmar, and they entered through an ambulance. They used an ambulance to come in and attack civilians. So these kind of things are going on. But the shocking reaction is that in spite of so many things, the apathy of the government towards the survival of a 3,000-year-old indigenous culture is horrible. It's not explainable under any condition, not justifiable. Now coming back to this, what people are trying to justify with this. Bharat's great ally, so-called Sheikh Hasina, had refused to allow them to access the northeast through Chattogram port and through Agartala. So we had to go the wrong way, long way, because Bharat never kept its paw on Sheikh Hasina. They just dealt with appeasement. That is not how geopolitics works. No defense treaty, no ensuring our chicken neck problem gets solved through more strategic investment, mutual cooperation, mutual travel paths. So these are very bad policies making, or overconfident policy making. Third thing, it came with this Kaladan project we had to use. That goes mostly through Chin Kuki dominated areas and the NUG rebel groups. So when the NUG rebel groups, these things, they had been strategically settling in More since 2016. Howlen Phai, Minao, Molcham, Yoldam, Sahi, Lian Phai. There dozens of villages filled with Satang, filled with combat veterans had cropped up. And they were allowed to remain there for 7 years. Who does that? Villages having population of 50 now has 3,000 people within few years. Who does that? So here it's impossible to give the government a clean sheet, and the amount of lies prominent government officials are saying in public media, it's appalling. And sad to say, even some people with vested interests who should have prioritized the country first, non-politicians, are joining with it. I won't say other things. I think you should see many of our former uniformed people what they're saying. So these are some of these things. Now coming into this matter, the drone attacks. Coming into this matter, the drone attacks, these are terrible things, but these will continue because our government is prioritizing keeping a route open through Myanmar, and the foreign countries are desperate to not let us do it. See how they sabotaged BRI. for China. The same kind of thing foreign countries are trying. Now, this is a question I would like to end with you. Is getting a road through these parts or getting some temporary geopolitical gains worth the destruction of a 3,000-year-old Hindu civilization, the last Hindus of our Far East, 18 lakh people's livelihood? This is a question which you have to think and answer. That's all I have to say. I'll just attend the call and come back in 2 minutes, Maheshji.
Okay. I'll wait for you because in the meantime I'll just check out all the comments that are there and then we'll go ahead. So दोस्तों हम लोग मैं आपके कुछ कमेंट्स जो अब तक देख रहा था उनमें देखिए ना, मतलब सप्तऋषि अभी आप ये बात कर रहे थे इजराइल वाली, इसको उन्होंने आंसर कर दिया था। उन्होंने शुरू में बताया था कि इसमें इजराइल की फंडिंग मौजूद है। सिमिलरली आप में से आई थिंक अभी किसी ने नीदरलैंड का, हाँ विराम बात कर रहे थे नीदरलैंड की, तो ये नीदरलैंड की भी फंडिंग उसमें शामिल है। ये चीज क्लैरिफाइड है कि यहाँ पे बेसिकली तमाम ईयू फंडिंग और अमेरिकन फंडिंग इस सारे में आ रही है। मैं बड़ा हैरान होता हूँ इस बात पर कि ये जो कुछ हमारे बीच में चलता रहा है, यू नो, बस हम लोग खाली वायलेंस की बात सुनते हैं, ये सुनते हैं कि हाय मणिपुर में गवर्नमेंट कुछ नहीं कर रही है, विच नाउ इट अपीयर्स कि एज इफ वाकई में मतलब एक एपैथी है गवर्नमेंट की जो नजर आ रही है, और जहां पर प्रायोरिटीज का अंतर जो है वो साफ नजर आ रहा है। तो आई मीन इसमें से बहुत सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन तो टू बी ऑनेस्ट यू दोस्तों मेरे पास ही नहीं, मैं आपको सच बताऊं, इसमें बहुत सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन ऐसी है जो बिल्कुल मेरे लिए नई है। तो मैं मुझे भी वक्त लगेगा इस सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन को प्रोसेस करने में, अंडरस्टैंड करने में। आई माइट हैव टू सी ये सारा वीडियो मुझे शायद दोबारा से खुद देखना पड़ेगा ऑनेस्टली, सारी की सारी इन्फॉर्मेशन को रीप्रोसेस करने के लिए, बल्कि प्रोसेस करने के लिए, क्योंकि अभी तक प्रोसेस भी नहीं हो पा रही है। इतना खतरनाक खेल है ये। तो मैं यही कहूंगा दोस्तों बने रहिए मेरे साथ अभी 2 मिनट, जब तक ये आदित्य वापस नहीं आते हैं आदमी, और फिर हम अपने आपके जो सवाल बच रहे हैं इनके आंसर्स भी ढूंढेंगे कि शायद बातचीत में उनके मिले, देना भी चाह रहे हैं वो आंसर। हमारे पास अभी टाइम है, अभी 9:17 है, दैट मींस मैं रफली लगभग 9:40 तक जा सकता हूँ। तो आई जस्ट वेट फॉर हिम टू कम बैक एंड आंसर योर क्वेश्चंस, हेलो वगैरह छोड़कर, देन आई वुड ट्राई कि जो भी रेलेवेंट क्वेश्चंस हैं उन सबका हम आंसर ले लें। ये अब तो राधिका तुम्हारा ये सवाल भी आ गया कि ड्रोन कहाँ से आते हैं, ये क्लियर हो गया कहाँ से आ रहे हैं। तो शिवा टेम्पल नहीं, ये डिस्ट्रॉय तो हो गया है, बना नहीं है। नो ये नहीं बना है सप्तऋषि, बिल्कुल नहीं बना है, डिस्ट्रॉयड है। इनफैक्ट मैं अगर गलत नहीं हूं तो कुछ इसके देखिए ना, कुछ पिक्चर्स भी आए थे मेरे पास इसकी ना, बहुत बुरा हाल है यार। आई मीन क्या कहा जाए, इट्स टेरिबल। आई मीन समझ नहीं आता कि क्या कहा जाए। ये आप अगर पॉपुलेशन का डेटा देखना चाहें तो ये भी मेरे पास पड़ा हुआ ये रहा। ये देखिए क्रिश्चियन पॉपुलेशन, ये ग्रोथ ऑफ क्रिश्चियन पॉपुलेशन इन मणिपुर। आप जरा देखिए, ये 1991 में क्रिश्चियन पॉपुलेशन 45 ये सारी परसेंटेज में है। तो ये क्रिश्चियन पॉपुलेशन ये 2% 0.2% है। देन 1911 में आती है 4%। और आप अगर ग्रेजुअल इसका इंक्रीज देखें किस तरह से हो रहा है लगातार कॉन्स्टेंटली, और ये है जंप देखिए 41 से 51 10 साल के अंदर 7-8% बढ़ जाता है एकदम से, और फिर नेक्स्ट जंप अगले 10 साल में ऑलमोस्ट 10% का, 9% का। It's really funny. Anyway, Vikramadit is back with us and we'll take him on. Here it is. लीजिए, just are you there now?
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful. So आप सवालों की बात कर रहे थे। सो ये आई थिंक ये तो आपने आंसर कर दिया था कि शिवा टेम्पल जो है नहीं बना है
ना, अभी कंस्ट्रक्टेड नहीं हुआ।
बिल्कुल। मैं ऊपर से ले लेता हूँ कि कहाँ पर इनके जो हमारे सवाल छोड़े थे हमने, ज्यादा तो ऐसे कुछ ऊपर थे नहीं। ये रहा, ये कुछ सप्तऋषि पूछ रहे थे। Are the cookies promoting videos on Telegram where they are attacking the Meitei villages and supposedly Assam rifles are not helping at all? Are the messages by the cookie terrorists true?
देखिए, Assam Rifles is an institution. It is wrong to say that the entire institution is bad, but there has been significant number of cases of Assam Rifle people not doing their duty, and in some cases outrightly violating their duties. Like in one cases, Manipur police had filed even FIR on Assam Rifle. Like one time they went to investigate the murder of 3 Hindus by cookies, and allegedly Assam Rifle had blocked them from chasing the terrorists and doing proper investigation. Then on July, there was 718 illegal immigrants from Myanmar who Assam Rifles had allowed to enter against the orders of the state government. So the state government had immediately ordered local police to monitor Assam Rifles and get these. So these kind of gross neglect, violation of duty, and questionable ethics has been there. Many instances. Lekin, this is also a fact that Assam Rifles has saved tens of thousands of lives. So both are there. But yes, the percentage of neglect and bias is significantly higher in Assam Rifle than expected from a professional force, at least by an Indian professional force.
नॉर्थ ईस्ट में कन्वर्जन मशीनरी पे पेचा के भी एक्शन नहीं लेती है, वेस्ट में फ्रीडम एक्सप्लेनेशन लेके रोना शुरू। आई हैव नो आइडिया, ये मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा है। आप जब कमेंट लिखते हैं एटलीस्ट
ना देखिए, आप जो बोल रहे थे वेस्ट रोना शुरू कर देगा, वेस्ट तो वैसे ही देखिए, if you care, do you care about the survival of your culture, or do you want to care and your national integrity, or do you want to care about your image in the West? It's that very simple. Any politician who cares about their image in the West does not deserve to be sitting there.
Yeah, completely agree. Bilkul. Have heard that prices of commodities have increased heavily in Imphal because of the lack of logistics in Manipur.
Yes, heavily prices had increased. According to the September itself, the essential prices had increased between 10 to 30%, and fish and fruits and other items had increased even more. And these kind of price increase has become due to 2 reasons: highway blockade and rampant extortion by these militants or terrorists. I do not call them militants.
True. How is the Joshua project contributing to this situation?
Joshua project has been there since a long time, and the church is taking full advantage of it. The church is acting as a tool for running the geopolitical agenda of the West. They are getting huge amount of foreign money, and they are promoting these terrorists. They are terrifying the local people to either convert or to leave. They are threatening to break off large parts of Manipur. Basically what happens, they are trying to break up a state and create a Christian dominant state where they can dominate and control local politics. Northeast is the only part where church dominates local politics, which is something has to be addressed urgently.
Very true. Exactly. I think this is a good question. Is the Kashmir formula also going to be implemented in Manipur?
I do not exactly understand. What do you mean by the Kashmir formula?
I think it's talking about Article 370 type kind of a thing.
They already tried to implement the Kashmir formula in Manipur, but failed. That was what it was, 2023.
These missionaries I'm also seeing in Buraipur, Bokhali, Sundarban, and another Bengal too. They come in the guise of tourists and do this unethical work.
Yes, just look at Dinajpur, Malda. Islamists and missionaries are working together. Look at Meghalaya, same thing. Mullah missionary nexus is very old.
Yeah, true. Yes, there are certain kind of symmetries between the two, the Islam and Christianity. So it is always across the globe, wherever you see, you can find them working in tandem there at various places. Drug war and Abrahamic religions. So drug war को कैसे रोका जाए? कोई solution है इस problem का? राधिका is asking.
हाँ, ड्रग वार को रोकने का सॉल्यूशन है, लेकिन यू कैन नॉट डील ड्रग वार आइसोलेटेडली. उसके लिए आपको पहले लेजिस्लेटिव रिफॉर्म करना पड़ेगा. विलेज चीफ और टेररिस्ट को पॉलिटिक्स से हटाना पड़ेगा. फिर फार्मर्स के वहां पे डेवलपमेंट करना पड़ेगा. डेवलपमेंट करने के लिए आपके चर्च को एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट और हेल्थ केयर सेंटर्स के ऑल्टरनेटिव्स बनाने पड़ेंगे, क्योंकि चर्च आपको डेवलपमेंट करने नहीं देगा बिना उनके पंजा
Correct.
रहते हुए, और चर्च के पंजे में लोग रहे। या दिस इज फनी, चर्च के जो ग्रुप्स है यहाँ पे, एक कुकी आईएएस ऑफिसर का ही मैं कोट करूंगा कमेंट, 90% of the cases the church says nothing about doing drug trade. ड्रग ट्रेड में कोई पाप या क्राइम नहीं है। ये लोग क्या बोलते हैं, मतलब ये जो ड्रग ट्रेड का मामला है, मुंह दिखाने के लिए ये लोग कुछ कुछ प्रोटेस्ट करते हैं, लेकिन एक्चुअली दे नेवर। एंड लार्ज पोर्शन ऑफ टेररिस्ट ग्रुप्स एंड अदर पीपल, यही दिस कुकी आईएएस ऑफिसर आल्सो, हिज नेम इज किपजन, हिज surname. He had written an article on Shanghai Express in 2019 itself. He was telling that these donors and these people, large number of these drug lords and other people are donors. ये लोग पैसे देते हैं चर्च को, तो चर्च is benefiting from the drug trade.
Yeah, true. Why else will they support them? Are the cookies also asserting themselves as some Christian army? Because that would be an evidence of designating Christian terrorist.
Of course they are. Zalingam for Christ is their war cry. That is their war cry. Zalingam for.
Okay. This Netherlands is. I think when you talk of Europe, Netherlands is automatically included, isn't it? When we talk about EU funding them,
Germany is a major suspect nation here. Netherlands, I do not have any direct proof of such things, but yeah, the European Union is funding. Especially after Geert Wilders, I don't know how much they're funding actually, but no major such reports came yet.
I honestly, because I know him personally, Geert Wilders, I don't think he's that kind of, he's not somebody who will go for all that. He's not that kind of a person. I know him to be very straight, but you never know. Politics is a different beast. So I've heard also that Israel too is also involved over there. Yes, no, I think they are involved. I think he mentioned that, but Vladimir, you can answer that.
See, Israel, there is a state of Israel, and there is cookies living in Israel. Cookies living in Israel are financing the terrorism, doing all sorts of things, narrative war. But the state of Israel, there is no concrete proof of them being
involved. Okay. And how come the two states cannot basically, work on this, the state of India and Israel?
See, the cookies claim to be a long-lost Janajati of Israel, a section of it. They have a sizable population like that, at least 6,000. And yes, that is the reaction of most experts. सर पे हाथ डाल के सभी बैठे हुए हैं, तो ये this is obviously totally nonsense. So they claim to be a long-lost tribe of Israel, and they go in large numbers in Israel. They do jobs, menial work, वो सब. जैसे केरला के लोग अरब जाते हैं, मिडिल ईस्ट जाते हैं, उसी का एक मतलब थोड़ा सस्ता वर्जन समझ लीजिए.
कैथलिक गिरजा एंड चाइना में टेम्पररी एग्रीमेंट हो सकता है. दीज एग्रीमेंट्स ऑन रिलीजियस कन्वर्जन, क्या भारत सीधा चर्च से टॉक नहीं कर सकता है अंडर फॉरेन पॉलिसी? आई डोंट थिंक.
I would recommend you to read that book of Gangomne Kame, the Naga Nationalist Council. He talks about Rani Gaidenliu, who was fighting against the British, who was fighting against desperately to preserve the native Naga culture, and Fizo, a British stooge basically, who wanted to Christianize the Naga society. So the way the communists supported these matters from the 1960s itself, it's very clear. NSCN, the Naga terrorist groups, most of these are Christian or Marxist groups. So the church and other coalition has been again going on since 1960s. ये सब बहुत पहले हो चुका था. Unfortunately, we are just now knowing.
Few churches are spreading false information during elections about Manipur issue.
Yes, Tamil Nadu, Kerala,
these churches are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So-called tyranny of distance. Satyarshi. Okay, there we go. They want to evangelize the whole world. उनको पागल कल्चर से पागल कल्चर से स्पेशली हमसे प्रॉब्लम है. प्रॉब्लम इज why we are still following our own old traditions.
Yes, problem is we exist.
Yeah, very true that we exist. Still do not criticize Son of God and instead respect and also worship.
This
Sad
is a
scenario.
long reason. This is a long reason actually. If you
Okay, go
look
ahead.
like this, there is a reason why I'm mentioning these sources so much, because within 10-15 years, the free versions of the internet they will delete. The church is very adept at manipulating internet and other sources. So that is why they do manipulation. They have mastered the art of lying. So these things do not stick too long.
Yes. A year before, a notification from Home Ministry says they are agreeing to make a peace deal with ULFA, and now the attacks are increasing. And a BJP MLA says to withdraw army from Manipur.
See, a cookie is a cookie. Whether he is a BJP or not, that does not matter. This is a great lesson for us Hindus to learn that go beyond party politics. Stop doing partybazi. Keep manifestos and follow your demands. Make manifestos for every state and district.
True. There we go. Most church held land in India is public land on 99 years lease. Expired now. चर्च हमारी लैंड वापस करने को रेडी ही नहीं है. इनफैक्ट एक्ट्स लाइक हम उन पर पता नहीं कौन सी अट्रॉसिटी कर रहे हैं.
See, this we cannot blame the church. We have to blame the government. There was something called the Church Act 1927, and also millions of acres of land were given from the 1890s by the British to churches. So these were all declared illegal in 1965.
Oh.
तो उसके बाद अगर चाहे तो सरकार एक्शन ले ही सकता है. 65 के बाद अभी कितने साल हो गए? 60 साल हो गए लगभग. सरकार एक्शन नहीं लिए. So more than that, we should call our ignorance and the spinelessness of our government, successive governments, who does not care. I again repeat, I think the biggest problem is the Indian state is against its own native culture and civilization. It's the only state which is so apathetic about it. And the Indian population, sadly, does not appear to have the zeal to take decisive action about it.
Very true. Very true. I hope this podcast helps and some people wake up to the reality that is going on. Would conversion into Christianity happening widely and least spoken?
Yes, crypto Christians, other things, least spoken. Yeah. See, you know how many people have Islamists killed in major riots since 1947? 1.5 lakhs, Maheshji, maximum. Muzaffarpur, other than that, Christians have killed at least double of that in the northeast itself.
Terrible.
So I think that answers your question.
I cannot. You know what? I'm just getting surprised with every minute because these are not the data which is made public or spoken about in public platforms. Nobody talks about it, and I'm finding it horrible.
Maheshji, if you permit me, I'll just put some data. See,
please go ahead.
Meghalaya alone, 1979. It becomes a state in 1972. Immediately, the evangelist church targets Hindus. 1979, 20,000 Bengalis are just displaced, killed, murdered, other things. If we add, it's more. 1987, another 35,000 by conservative estimate. Then there is 1990, 92, two more. So thousands. So there becomes 55,000 there alone. So these are numbers which people did not care. None of the victims got any compensation. They were forced to live in graveyards where their ancestors were forced to be buried because the church did not allow to cremate. Meghalaya Hindus are not allowed to commit their last rites of their ancestors. and they call
Oh
Bharat a
God.
Hindu government is ruling.
Very funny. Okay. Oh, okay. Uh, yeah, Saptarishi is saying that Bible justifies slavery.
No idea.
Oh,
I have never read the
yeah.
Bible, so I will refrain from commenting there.
Okay. Cookie lies.
This is a
Saitama
very
is talking
common.
about it.
This is a very common hashtag actually, which was introduced by some of their eminent intellectuals and professors as cookie lies. So it became a
Mhm.
very common hashtag for finding informative threads in Twitter.
Good. I'll put it to I'll put it to this video as well. Okay. Good that you told me this. All right. This is Saptarishi again. We are getting close to this podcast, my friends, and yeah. So the government has lied to us so much. Saptarishi is talking now. Even certain defense experts, while praising Modi, have totally forgotten of Hindu genocide in Manipur. Absolutely. I mean, this information is a shocker to me. Honestly, I had no idea about it. Whatever I'm getting to know. And to be honest, as I told you while Vladimir was away, it will take me viewing of this podcast probably few times before I can process the whole information that has come through. Even the disgusting Congress has spoken more on Manipur. Of course, you know why. That is true.
No,
But I'm
Congress is
surprised.
no. Congress is not a well-wisher. Let us not give them a clean sheet. Congress has been speaking
Hmm,
about Manipur for their political interests, and they are supporting the
absolutely.
terrorists. So
Yeah, agree. Okay. Okay. Saptarshi ji, it's my pleasure all the time. It is jarring, and now I can experience how Hindus were in ignorance of Kashmir genocide. Uh, I don't think even now, we are talking much or enough about it. Avinash ji, good evening. And then here we are, Avinash ji and Anurag Dikshit ji. Gun licenses applications are pending in Manipur. Approximately 10,000 legitimate applications for gun licenses are pending in Manipur. This is a violation of right to life by the state government.
I hope the
Right.
government is coming into senses, because now the government are talking about, at least the state government, of arming the youth. But if they arm them with pistols
Hmm.
against snipers and machine guns and these things, it won't help, right? So the
Won't work.
nuances of these things
Hmm.
are not being worked out. And also, not
Yeah.
just gun license, there are allegations that arrangements were made such that the guns, when the initial
Hmm.
attacks fell on Imphal Valley, a large portion of the Meitei
Hmm.
population did not have their guns with them. They were deposited with the government officials for checking and license renewal. And one DGP, Cookie DGP P. Dongel, he was the one who gave the order. So I guess you all can draw the
Very
necessary
funny.
conclusions.
Well, actually, Vladimir, this reminds me that the similar thing happened in Kashmir, in Jammu of late. While the attacks were happening, though these village defense committees, their arms were taken back for similar reasons, and then the attacks took place. They were promised that the newer arms will be given to them, and nothing happened, and then came the attacks. So I mean, I see a similarity in this pattern somewhere. Okay.
Yes, I also see so.
Uh, क्या स्टॉप कन्वर्जन बिल पास कर सकता है पार्लियामेंट, व्लादिमीर जी?
Maybe Parliament can pass it, but even if Parliament can pass it, no government can enforce it. Enforcement has to be done with people. So first thing is we
Yeah.
have to enforce ourselves and push for educational reforms along with it. Taki we
Yeah.
have a sizable population who knows the reality. There are more Saids in India than there are Saids in Arabia, claiming to be.
Hmm. Hmm.
But they
Hmm.
should know
Hmm.
their reality, who they are, where they come from.
Yeah. 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 Okay. Now I don't know how it is that Christianity is not exposed on this issue at all. If there is so much of data in public domain too, I think in coming days, Saptarishi, remember Vladimir plans to bring more shows with probably some people as well. Of course, we cannot reveal the identity of them, but they will be there, and you will see more information. I really want this issue to go up, and some people should wake up to this. What is happening in Manipur? Indian state stands against the Indian civilization. प्रभु श्री राम की जन्मभूमि के लिए कितने साल लग गए हैं, but still civilizational battle is considered. Civilization is battle is right in front of us, dost. It's Cookie is the last tribe of Jews, more sarcastic than true. I don't know. Is police and educational reforms the immediate thing cause we are so behind?
This varies from area to area.
Yeah.
Educational reforms is one thing. Second thing is Indian population is treated by the Indian government as a slave to be treated, like a colonial master.
Yeah.
Whoever political people sits there, they do not consider themselves as accountable. And the people also thinks them as a weird hybrid mixture of our kings, but without the ethics and checks which are expected from a king. And the population has been turned into lambs or forced to depend on the government so much that they have lost that ability to dispense justice if the king goes too much. Correct. So that is the problem. So it's not a single statement.
Armed citizenry always helped the nation to win the war. Training in villages and retired armed personnel can be done. Just CM needs to sign gun licenses application format.
Anuragji, this I will just comment. Anuragji, I will just comment on this one thing that is happening, and that is the reason why they survived against such an onslaught. But yes, it can be streamlined. For rest of Bharat, see, even Manipuris, the Maithis also, they have a very big vested interest group, communist group or leftist group, who wants their society to remain isolated from rest of Bharat, who are pushing this divisive narrative even now, that the Indian government does not care about you, do separatism. The Indian people and government, they are treating as one entity. So this is wrong thing. The people are shouting for them, and the government is discriminating against Hindus everywhere. In Jammu, in Manipur, in Bengal, everywhere. So these have to be kept in mind.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल राहुल 75 years से 12th तक एजुकेशन की रिस्पांसिबिलिटी किसको हैंड ओवर कर रखा है, इस पे कुछ होगा? I don't think my God, the lamb reference of reminds me of Jesus being depicted as shepherd. Actually Saptarshi, I thought of that as well.
That is what I intended.
Yeah, that picture came immediately to mind. But friends, I must apologize, and Vladimir, I must thank you for at this moment, because I'll have to run. It's 9:45, and I have to run for another show at 10 o'clock. So I just to change it before, I have to go to, the German audience now. So Vladimir, I'll thank you for this podcast today. And I look forward to your next show whenever you plan to. Please feel free to come anytime, because this is an issue which is very close to my heart, and I really want you to do more on this. So platform is yours. Please come over whenever you want. I'll take the last one. Is there a shortage of manpower declared in this national crisis, and population from mainland India will join to save our Maitri brothers? What do you say, sir? Vladimir, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Even messages like this can also create bridges, but this crisis has no such single sentence solution, because unfortunately a large section of the people are keeping the Maithis isolated, the ordinary people, from rest of Bharat, and building up anti-India sentiments. And there is a section inside Manipur Maithis who are desperately struggling to keep that thing away. So it's
Vladimir, your voice is
providing
gone.
supply and build bridges.
Okay.
If that bridge, if that bridge
Yeah.
is done, or if that thing is done properly with Bharatiya activists, I would say first Bharatiya activists, 10 prominent Bharatiya activists and welfare organizations should travel to Imphal, meet them, donate things,
Mm.
work with them, build that trust. The more you integrate that society, the more it works. But there is a very strong lobby there, leftist lobby, who are trying to take advantage of this situation and drive the society back into the hellhole of insurgency. So that has to be taken care also.
Uh, just for your information, there is this particular comment that has come, break the bars. So there is no name, nothing. But what they're saying is, so Meitei are now using Hindu card and they're allowed.
No,
It's okay.
they are not now using Hindu card. They have been using Hindu card ever since they had been Hindus.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, but you can see where they're coming from. So, yes. Anyway, so Vladimir, I must thank you now and bid goodbye for today and see you very soon. And friends, thank you so much for being with us on this podcast. Thank you so much.